Right, as per usual, start with a box, right? Nice and simple. Kraken Everfest. So, as much as I do like what Rosetta has done in opening up the meta and changing a few things, boxes aren't that interesting yet, right? Marbles, again, is an oversaturated pool, similar to cold foils, so that's lost all interest, and then all the extreme chase is now even more extreme chase. And even getting a, FaB isn't that exciting. So, Everfest. I thought Everfest is quite the interesting set to crack, right? Because despite, the amount that was printed, the Majestics and everything seem to just trickle out, and they do have pretty good use, right? All the Majestics in there are definitely coming off the back of Tales of Aria, right? So they're above what we're sort of getting nowadays, and that's, interesting to me, because again, there's the ability for there to be a whole lot of this out in circulation, yet they still apparently remain reined in, right? People are just doing the singles or cracking and letting it drip feed out slowly. Is, an interesting little thing to think about, but nonetheless, right? We start the day, well, my day, your night, right? With cracking a box, then we'll check out the news, see what's happening, right? What LSS is currently talking about and releasing, and then we'll go back to cracking some more Everfest. Now, lighting is always horrid. There we go. Be glad to move next year. Alright, so basically we're just looking for the Majestics. Although there's a few things with pick a card I do want to try out with the new elemental heroes, if you can think of the interaction. But so far, nada. Ooh, Talisman of Recompense, wax on. 100 wins are still decent, right? People are still using them for Ninja. I think that's the main Zen shtick now, right? That or Tigers. Briar is also interesting. Timekeeper's Whim. I do want to look at wizard cards, because there's I'm currently just looking at Oslo and Veridans. It's played during opponent's turn, put on the bottom of your deck. So, not as good as the new Infinite card, right? The one that, if it deals damage, you banish it, and then you may play it. But obviously that, both, you still need the active link to repeat play it, but that you need draw and the ability to refind it. Speak of the devil, though. At least it got shown its due, right? Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking without sticking a cap on this. Well, the idea would probably be that they never intended for AMP to be a thing, and the damage improvement interaction was always only going... Now, that doesn't make sense either, right? Because then this wouldn't have draw for each. It was always a thought to be able to increase the damage of everything across the board. But yeah, so no cap. Gone from Living Legend. I don't know if that's necessary, right? Because, I mean, Veridant's definitely broken. Again, it would be something that I'd probably look to as wanting or maybe comprehending just a character ban rather than a all-around ban. Because I don't think you can amp it that much in Kano or Oslo. But yeah, obviously Living Legend is kind of a mess of a format, right? They want it to be the area of broken things. They don't want it to be too broken. It's just, they got to draw a line sooner or later. And so far they're just towing it. Same with, pushing it. It shouldn't be a main format, but, it should definitely be supported a lot more if it's meant to be the afterlife for banned cards. Runic Reclamation. Now, is this a good one? When Runic Reclamation hits a hero, destroy target aurora they control. If you do, create a Runechant token. I mean, it's 3 for 7 with decent effect. I don't think that's something we're necessarily looking for. So we should look up the Everfest prices, maybe. Alright. Now, Cold Foil is Vexing Quill Hand, which I do like. Right? One, it's the Arcane Barrier one, and two, it's great 2 Runechant tokens. That's actually a decent Cold Foil pool, I think. But, still, it's Cold Foil. Cold Foil's, well, not really anything. Some are. Obviously, the new EA's the top. The top is still the top, but, everything in between is sort of becoming more and more lackluster. Nada, and some more nada. Although T-Bone is definitely a good set of Mechanologist rares, right? So yeah, even the rares and everything in this set, kind of good too. Raging Metaphor. When it's destroyed, create a token that's a copy of an aura you control. I've always wondered about this. Creating copies of things on board. I haven't read this card, probably, obviously. But when this is destroyed, create a token that's a copy of an aura you control. That is pretty huge. I wonder how many other copy effects there are. I really want a copy of the items, right? That would definitely take Mechanologist on the edge. If we had, you know, a synthesizer, a replicator, whatever you want to, you know, frame it as a way to duplicate items, that'd be pretty crazy. Keeping track of the same counts and everything, though, would probably be nuts. Like, keeping counts of, you know, counters and everything. Auras in, say, Enigma would also probably be a bit rough. Boiled blood on her hands. Still really like this guy, right? Obviously, copper has sort of a weird thing. It seems like we're getting a bigger push just towards gold. Even silver's sort of on the back burner. But I still really like it for Shiner, right? Going for play-off combo will always be my dream as Shiner. Nada. Hello, Emeritus Scolding. This is another one that I need to clue in on. How does this connect? Because this is what you go after, right? Deal 4 if it's played during your opponent's turn, it just deals more damage. Yeah. No, there's better cards now to play on your opponent's turn if you want to try an OTK. Macho Grande. Break Tide, another interesting one. Even bigger than that. If Rushing River, Blood of 4 was the last attack, then this gets Dominate and banish the top card of your deck until the end of your next turn you may play, which is definitely a nice effect. A EA. Runeblade Incantation. So it's blue, right? So not that great. A few packs left. I think we've actually done recently. Nada. Nada. Healing Potion, another T-Bone. Into Rearm Shatter. Until the end of turn, target 2H weapon gains. Whenever, again, this is one of the ones where I go, why wasn't this you know, additional effect instead? Whenever this would deal damage instead, you may destroy defending equipment with armor less than damage that would be dealt this way. So, you could probably, you know, chip through your opponent's, like, especially as a Bolton. You could probably take a build that, you know, just slowly tears through all your opponent's armor. Magic Stir, this round's on me, always a good pickup. Nada, and 2 to go. Get ourselves nothing. Although dice, if it comes back, is a good thing. I think they just don't want it because it's, you know, heavily inconsistent. It's 2 Cold Thorns and another Blood on our hands. So an Amulet of Assertiveness, which I think is probably the most interesting one, right, in terms of utility. What would be second? Recompense or Ignition to me. But we have Destroy this, and then when an attack hits, as an attack reaction, match top card of your deck. It's an attack action card. You may play it this turn, activate its ability only if you have 4 or more cards in your hand. So the ideal situation, attack from Arsenal, you know, with a 0 cost, and you use that to then go into a bigger sequence. Definitely a nice aggro card. I think, would it be busted if it was 3 cards in hand instead of 4? Obviously, if there wasn't any consideration of cards in hand, then it would be pretty nuts. But yeah, overall, that's not a bad way to start the day, right? That Everfest box. That was decent. Where is my rubber box? Yeah. Cool. Alright. Let's check out what's happening with LSS so far. Then we'll get back to it. So what do we have? Oh yes, the Dash Armory deck. That's a decent place to start, I think. Right, so Dash. Interesting set of cards. Now, Symbiosis Shot is probably the first thing to really talk about. I think this still needs a lot of improvement to actually work. Right? The fact that you can have those big swing turns with, you know, a low-cost deck that then burns your extra resources by using the normal pistol, and then also the fact that, well, all the weapon synergy for Mechanologist is on pistol, not gun, or symbiotic shot. I don't know if it has to be in the name or if it's an actual, you know, type, is also a bit problematic. But we have, whenever a Mechanologist item enters the arena, if it does fewer than 6, you may put a Steam counter on it, and then the usual attack, right, just remove the Steam counter, no go again. As long as you have those extra action points, you can shoot away. If Dash, you know, ends up with a critical mass of items, sure, maybe, but I still think you just take the OG pistol. Now, Cerebellum Processor, very, very interestingly designed card, right? It's a bit too versatile, I think, right? It's definitely nice for Mechanologists across the board. So, basically, the way you can think of it is it sticks around for quite a while, right? 2 to 3 turns, and then, you know, just as a simple way to overextend your hand and then make sure you have a card in Arsenal, like Ponder generation, in a sense. Of course, you need that 1 action point floating or 2 action points if you want to make use of the card you draw. Either way, again, the fact that it's very versatile, and then, yeah, in conjunction with Dash's own ability, right, means you get the draw straight away. So it's basically Dash becomes a pay 1. If this is on top of your deck, remind you, right? There are ways to cheat it on top of your deck, but it has to be on top of your deck. Then Dash basically just gets a free draw for the turn, which is pretty nice, and then it sticks around again for, you know, another turn, another 2 turns, depending on what you do with the crank. Gotta go fast, maximum velocity, heavy industries. Now, defensively, the head and the arms are definitely good. I just realized that Mechanologist doesn't really have that much by way of the head slot, right? If you want Nitro or, you know, Technoblossom, although Technoblossom still requires just Evos. So these are nice pieces. When this defends, you may pay 1. If you do, it gets +1 to the end of turn, right? And Temper. So this is technically Temper 2, which kind of makes it a little bit weaker than what it is, right? Considering the usual Temper gear we get with some of the other classes. But, you know, it's still a nice effect, and we should probably compare it to what Dash, or what Mechanologist actually has in the arm slot. That's probably always the correct starting point. I think it's the Galvanic Bender, right? Just battle 1 with 1, so it's already equivalent, but then this going into Nitro or anything is a bit better. Other than that, it's just into Evos, right? They don't have any other Mechanologist arms. Yeah, so it's just into Evos. So it's whether or not you want the utility of the arms. And I think the arms are some of the better ones, are they not? We have deal 1 damage, steal an item, 6 or more, 5th from the top. Okay, no, the arms for the Evos are not the big one. I think it's chest and legs then. Back to the deck. Power plant. Very fantastic, right? If you can time it right, that's sort of the quandary, because it's basically just a +1 to your whole curve that you play as Mechanologist, right? It allows you to then, you know, chain 1, boost into the other that costs 1, which is really interesting. I really like the idea that, you know, they're going the opposite direction to Tunic with all the armory deck chest pieces, although they are definitely all kind of desirable for their classes, very desirable for the classes, right? Bolton's was yellow gets -1. What was it? Every time you can turn a arrow face down, face up, gain 1, and then what's now every time you boost with Twin Drive, right? Getting the double resource off that, then allowing you to play another 2 cost, and then maybe going into a maximum velocity is also a really nice sequence. Or, you know, Twin Drive, 1 cost boost, 1 cost boost. Overall, it's just the option to have a much stronger turn, right? That makes it really, really interesting to me. And of course, the combo potential. And then heavy industry gear shifts. So it's just the counter to the Achilles Accelerator, right? So battle 1 instead of Arcane Barrier, but its action point generation isn't instant, so you have to use it preemptively, right? Otherwise it'll break the chain unless you don't care about the chain. I think Mechanologist sort of soft cares about the chain, right? And then destroy this. Banish the top 2 cards of your deck, which is also interesting, right? Because I think the banish element may help in some aspects, right? As Max, you know, trying to fish and banish certain cards, and definitely as Technoblossom, trying to get more Evos into the banish zone, and then gain an action point for each Mechanologist card banished that way. So you can whiff on it depending on, you know, what tech cards you're taking if they're not Mechanologist, but generally you'll hit it and it's just equivalent to the Achilles Accelerator, except being an action instead, right? Or eat 1 action point obviously to utilize it. Is it Is it okay as just a banish 2, do nothing? Maybe in Klloo Boston? Overall, right? Only the chess piece we looked at. And then choices to upgrade. Spark of Genius with the Cerebellum processor. It's obviously quite nice if you get the draw. Definitely really good. And again, the crank on the Cerebellum processor will pay for the Spark of Genius. So allow you to continue your turn. Just set up and then, end your turn with the processor to have a card to sing in your arsenal. Klloo Core. I don't know if the curve warrants it, but obviously the 2 free resources with setup is always nice, right? And still just ways to put items into play as Dash.io. Yeah, so overall, the armory deck's quite nice. I haven't watched how it did against KO or anything. I still think KO is the, definitely the simplest, which makes it a decently strong armory deck. I think, you know what? I have FaB open. What's utility cards have we got it? And what's the ratio? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 items. So tripled, right? It's always 3 copies. So 24 out of the 60. So the problem with that is obviously Dash.io's ability. If she had opt or something, or some way to shuffle 1 card, right? But in essence, you need to really get close to that 50% if you really want to be able to hit an item almost every turn. So, obviously with boom grenades, everything is nice. What do we have? We have some prevention. We have recycling cards, which is very important. And then we have just... what else is new? Fast and Furious. There we go. Boost. If you crack this turn, this gets +1, so 0 for 4. That's fairly decent. It's a block 3. That's good too. When this is banished from boosting, put a sting counter on an item you control with crank. It's just a free bonus if it's timed correctly. Yeah, I still think overall, right? Just the tempo of starting with a different item. I think OG Dash with the processor. I don't know if it's strong enough, right? To replace whatever item Dash normally starts with, but it's a decent call getting it on board, because then you don't have to crank it since it's before the match starts, meaning you get 3 turns out of it, right? Potential draw, again, just playing your whole hand, maybe, as long as they all boost, and then just having that draw 1. So yeah, just the flexibility of being able to play your whole hand every turn, and then put a card back in your arsenal, I think makes the first 3 turns as OG Dash fairly strong by taking the processor instead of what is normally taken, which I don't know. I don't play that much Mechanologist. But that is basically the armory deck, right? I think out of all the upgrades, right, so far that we've seen for the other decks, I think Dash is the simplistic. Yeah. Alright, anything else? Alright, next armory deck is November. Interested to see who it is. I think the bet for everyone is it's just going to be Dromai, right? Maybe. We'll see. If Dromai's not an armory deck, then I would expect us to go back to Draconic pretty early on, right? Probably the first set, maybe. We did, what did we do? It went Mistval Rosetta, so we went Talent. So, probably not then. It's probably Savage Lands, actually, thinking about it, right? Although we just did Brute, who hasn't been touched in a while. Guardian's getting the Mastery Pack. So, maybe they get pushed in the first product of the year, right? And the Mastery Pack, I assume, is just reprints, or have they? Well, they haven't released. I don't know if they've released any information about the Mastery Packs. But yeah, I don't really know who to expect. The easiest way is we just go. Where's FaB Heroes? All right, let's think about this. We know Monarch 3 is coming at some point. I assume that'll be the second set of the year in the middle, right? Earlier this year was Guardian, Brute, and Warrior. Ninja just pretty much got hammered. So I could see them doing normal Ninja, right? So I don't think Mistval really touched upon any of the classes that well. I think Rosetta's doing a much better job since they cut out the double element, and then they've limited the elemental cards as just sort of big boosty cards, right? For the deck and archetype, sort of to replace Tails more than anything, in my opinion. So I could see them going to Ninja, Assassin, and Ranger. Although, yeah, and then since Aria's being pushed as well, right? For the 5th anniversary. Mechanologist is getting some support, right? In the Armory deck, so I don't think we go back to Mechanologist. Obviously, we just had Wizard and Runeblade, so yeah. Aside from it just being Savage Lands with Brutes, or maybe just straight up being another talented set, either Monarch or Draconic, I probably think we get something outside his desk. Swashbuckler, Ranger, Merchant. Love Merchant. I feel like Merchant's in the same boat as Shapeshifter, though, unfortunately. Right? Where... Wow, you know what? Actually, that does make sense, right? Because of the whole point about gold in the latest ban. Ocean Pirate set, yeah. You know what? Yeah, it's probably time for a new class. Anyway. The Merchant would be cool. Especially, again, where was it? Not this ban restricted. The previous one, right? That mentioned their place about gold. You'd have to think that'd be kinda early in the year, right? Considering the ban was originally intended for, was it middle October? And it was still going to outline the whole use of gold and how they want to support gold. So that means they're either developing or they have developed another gold-focused set. And that would kind of set up things well, right? You have sort of the Everfest, the novelty set, thematically. And then you go into the other story-driven sets, right? So like we sort of escape. It's from a writing sense and, you know, them pushing the brand for FaB. That would definitely be interesting. So it'd basically be the same setup where we go... a talentless set, right? Focusing on, you know, something sort of out of the way. And then probably Monarch, and if Draconic is not touched in the Armory decks, Draconic. Otherwise, then Savage Lands. That's a decent thought, right? And our heroes go. Yeah. Yeah, because it's either... I think Ninja would definitely be on the top, right? I think Zen is like Ninja adjacent. And obviously has gone too quickly. And I don't think they risk another Mechanologist-focused set. Assassin and Ranger. That would be the top for me so far. And then whatever else they throw in it. Alright, and then, of course, we have the Kraken Aether Vein ban, right? The Living Legends tend to be a place where you can live out the wildest power fantasies, find the craziest combinations, and draw cards to your heart's content. But even... for Living Legend, Kraken Aether Vein crosses a line, right? So, in general, our stance is that every powerful interaction is supposed to have at least a small window to shine in Living Legend. Figure out something insanely powerful before everyone else catches on, you'll get rewarded. And then, such as this one, I revel in years later, sneak into convention whenever I can. Able to get a card banned. Yeah, this line is, I think, the one that I'm most curious about, right? While we considered a preemptive ban of Kraken Aether Vein, we decided to offer the opportunity to discover, for discovery, Living Legend players with the release of Rosetta. In retrospect, this was a mistake. The power level of Kraken Aether Vein was too obliviously on display. The option for counterplay was too limited, and the gameplay was simply not interesting enough. Now this is a very interesting thought, right? Because I wonder if they're gonna be a bit more hard on cards going forward, especially for Living Legend. But what this, if you read into it, right, you get your little speculator goggles on, it sort of reads they're definitely going to push Living Legend, right, to a higher standard, because the whole idea here is, imagine if this was a classic constructed event, right? Then the outrage behind that, especially coming off of their you know, power down band, would be, you know, pretty tumultuous. I know, unfortunately, no Rosetta Limited. I live nowhere near. The shop that was 40 minutes away no longer does FaB. So, yeah. Now, I'm shit out of luck. I can either go to the city, which I'd have to go during peak hour, right, to get to events. Yeah, not a fun drive, driving, you know, 2 hours each way to play FaB, unfortunately. Yeah. I've talked about, again, the longevity of FaB in stores, and not doing so well, right? It gets built up easy enough, but sustaining it seems to be kind of a problem. And the direction of boxes is really not helping that, right? But while for the gameplay and everything, the sole focus on limited formats is fantastic, right? I love the ideas, again, of boxes being an actual thing to play with rather than just majority crack. Problem is, the majority crack part is what sells a game, right? How easy it is to move as a product for an LGS is what makes it more worthwhile. And yeah, so there is nowhere near me anymore. that does FaB, well, reasonably near me. Yeah. But no limited events. I'm stuck with Talishare. Oh well. What else do we have? We apologize to our players. We also apologize to the hosts of the ProQuest Plus, friends at MinMax Game, very vocal spawners of the Living Legend format, and show off the format's true greatness. We'll just go back to Zen, right? You know what I'll do? I'll put some packs aside. You crack some packs on stream. You know what that would be? You know what? Yeah, sure. I'm game for that. I'll go buy a box. Granted, I have to order a box, so it won't come till next week. I'd love to do limited, you know, with a playmat, or even just games with a playmat. I should probably. There is Discords with online tournaments. It's a worthy thought. Problem then stems from the time zone difference, right? That's the other issue that we get into, being in Australia. But yeah, I'd definitely be up for that idea. For that date, we will play the World Team Cup and Battle Hunt at Ahsoka. Renew its contentment. Just why they've continued getting rid of Kraken 8th event. Yeah, so I'm curious, right? Because again, we've sort of gotten to the point where we kind of know that Alice's testing is not that fantastic. Kraken 8th event is very on the nose though, right? They knew AMP was going to be a big thing. So yes, I believe that they probably would have known about this one, right? The question is, again, what purpose should Living Legend serve, right? Should it be the no-holds-bar format where everything is valid, every card gets a chance? Should it be, you know, managed to a significantly better degree? Should it be the... Well, it shouldn't be the stable format. I will never think it should be the stable format. Classic Constructed should be, again, pushing the non-rotation system, whether or not you agree or disagree with that, but yeah, and then the set pool of heroes. But Living Legend does need a place in FaB. It's just, how controlled is the thought. I think that's basically it. Let's go with Season 10 with Coldfall Channel Thunder Steep. That's interesting. That's actually kind of desirable. Although, again, for reference, every Lightning hero still has access to Fulminate, and Fulminate, in my opinion, is better, since you pay significantly less, and you don't have to pay the upkeep cost, although it's only for one turn, right? So if you're going to play Channel Thunder Steep, I think Fulminate overall is just better. Then we have the Extended Art Sigils, which again, kind of like more than the Cold Foils. And then, yeah, Terra. That's another thing. We could get Earth and Ice set. We get Draconic Earth and Ice. I could see them doing something with that. Because it doesn't have to be mix and match anymore, right? With the layout of Rosetta and everything. No fuse cards. They're basically just separate packets, right? So you could easily do a similar theme for Earth and Ice and then stick anything else, in all honesty, right, with it. Let's see, anything else of interest? 5th anniversary. I've thought about it. I think I'm going to crack all 3 for the anniversary. I don't know if I'll do it next week after. When's World start? World starts November. I have been wanting to crack Welcome for Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Klloo. I think that's a pretty decent idea, right? Crack all 3 for the 5th anniversary. I am talking 1st edition, by the way. I don't think holding the boxes is that worthwhile anymore, so I'd rather crack them. Oh yeah, enjoy them for the cheap boxes they were when I got them. What else? Yeah, restricted, just what's happening, prime to fight. No, I think that pretty much covers anything that piques my interest. So yeah, let's go back to the cracking Everfest then. Nice and simple. Alright. What can we get? Pretty gas Majestics if we can find them. I'm interested in terms of limit as well. See what they continue with the macro system. But I find that really interesting. And it has a lot of foundational use for like PvE as well. Or just interesting design all around. Like yeah, you could do longer lasting or themed macros. I do have to. I should probably publicize that a bit better. Right? In like Riddler's Discord, cracking it. Although I did crack first edition Arcane Rising not too long ago. It was awful. I still have the sack card somewhere. There was no cold foil. It was not a good box. I didn't think it was worth pushing or editing and sticking up on YouTube. Alright, what can we get from Everfest? I think I have 2 Welcome to Wraith left, 2 Arcane Rising, and 3 Crew. So I think hold 1 of each, and then the rest I'm just going to treat as free to crack, right? So yeah, that's a fairly decent idea for the 5th anniversary. Shiny Silver, I do like Shiny Silver. Since it's the only way to draw now, Melody. Oh, a Spring Tiding. Nice card. Still waiting for the grown-up Benji, right? Like that. I mean, God. Spring Tidings with Tigers, I think, would be kind of as nutty as Zen. Actually, I don't think I've ever looked into that. How many Tigers you could do as Benji. Oh, Cold Foil, Healing Potion, and an Aether Wildfire. All of that. Healing Potion, Aether Wildfire. I actually think it's just easier to pull off your turn OTKs with Veridance, because just the utility of being able to play more cards, different cards, right, and the action point generation comes a lot more easily. I think overall it's just better. Is that shiny copper? No. It is copper with a streak line in it though, if you can see it. Oh, missing 1 pixel basically of printing. Yeah, healing potions and Veridance. There's lots of ways to set up and then burn your opponent. And I think is it Surgent Aether Vein? Right? The staff that when it deals its damage. Speak of the Veridance combo, right? It then buffs. So that into Wildfire. I can't think of the your turn one. Fire Breathe is nice though. It's fairly decent. You don't have to just focus on trying to burn your opponent on their turn. Although again, the non-contention is the big part. But surprisingly, I think you can definitely get amp enough through the life gain mechanic of Veridance to not really care about the arcane barrier. Purging Aether, yeah, there we go. Oh, swing big. A good pickup. I think we've done well. First box was Miraging Metaphor, and then this one with a swing big. Especially again if Savage Land gets continued to speculate on. The fact that they didn't do Savage Lands as heavy hitters is definitely, leaves it as a nice speculator within the community. Everyone just wants Savage Lands so bad. Talisman of Cremation. Still a cold foil. Still means 2 in this box, even if they are the trinkets. See, I feel like that's the mentality that we should be getting towards cold foils, right? Where the rare and common cold foils are separate in a sense, and you can pull that as well as say a majestic, and then legendary. Signal Jammer. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy this. Each hero can't play more than 1 non-attack action card each turn. That must see some play, apparently, right? With the Wizards and Runeblades. Okay, Lantern, 100 wins. Oh, Rain Razors. Nice Ranger instant, right? Especially with reloading and Riptide. So I don't think it's that played, unfortunately. But I think we're still on big arrows, right? Instead of lots of arrows. Yeah, cool. Oh, no. What's the banish? When you play a card from your banish zone, destroy this and banish all cards with chosen name from each. Right, God, that's a nice count your blessings shutdown. I love Rain of Raisins too. Still like the idea of New using it, but you can't, right? When you play a card from your banish zone, yeah, that's the issue. If only it was play a card from a banish zone, then New would probably really like it too. Right, life the party. Oh, the Sharp Eye. Destroy this, banish top card of your deck. You may play it this combat chain. Activate this ability only if you control a weapon with greater than twice its base. Fortunately, they gave all the good headpieces, right? To war and everything. So I think that gets outdone. But it's a decent effect. Especially with like Unsheathed now, Cat's Eye. I think Cat's Eye is, spec headpiece is just better overall. Alright. Yeah, I don't think that was a bad box. Bone Shot, and this arrow. Yes, I love that combo too. Especially with the new aim headpiece that draws, right? Into a very long sequence. Running out of room for the rubbish. Alright. Goes to the EAs. Here's reality. First illusion attack you play each turn is +2. Rotary Ram, Talisman, and a T-Bone. Oh, another Vexing Quill Hand. Oh, not Cold Fall this time. Macho Grande, another Healing Pots. I don't know what they were thinking, making the Variance Amp. Do instant cards. Actually, no, I do. Right? Because they wanted to make sure it didn't get hit by any of the, banish, non-attack action cards. And then be able to play them. But in doing that, they made it free to play. Compared to, like, Florian's, which doesn't have Go Again, and is an action to generate the Runechant tokens. Well, nothing so far in this one. I think the first two boxes were the good ones. We have Potion of Luck. Dissolution Sphere. What is this? It's prevent damage. Enters with a steam counter, beginning remove whenever your hero would be dealt exactly 1 damage to prevent it. Right. If we ever get to, just an endless amount of pings. I think if that was prevent exactly as many steam counters, it would have some utility. Right, because you'd be able to try and build it up a little. I think at exactly 1 damage does not quite work. Or, it would be really cool if Flesh and Blood had an overkill mechanic, where the last bit of damage was always just 1. Alright, that is a big FU to Runechant. Unless you amp them. Can you amp Runechant? Or is it only your... No, they count as your action cards, do they not? Ah, now we must really hope for ice. Meg good. Yeah, just a safe gate for 1 turn. Alright. You've sold me on the sphere. And then an L. Stalagmite, Bastion of Ice and Loft. Definitely a mouthful. I'm for Frostbite coming back, right? I feel like Frostbite, as long as we just up the resource curve, is better than the life gain fatigue that we're currently seeing. And a non-special Icelander. What was it? Felling... I don't remember. Oh, and a foil sphere. Felling Crown? Is that the tree? Where's... Didn't drop it. Mostly curious about some of these Everfest cards. We still have one more left to do. Let me open TCG player. That way we can look up cards as we go. Right, it doesn't have crank. So the first turn, you lose steam counter. Second turn, you lose one steam counter. I always forget that. Because the hyperdrive is right, the odd one's out. Millennium Tree, there we go. That in Florian to get around the one ping. I take it. Yeah, so hyperdrive is being, destroyed when they have 0 steam counters versus all the crank cards being if you can't pay the upkeep cost. So many cards to remember. FaB has way too big of a relevant card pool compared to other games. I need to go Everfest. Scour as well has gone up, I think. Would like to pull that. Or a Skullcap. I've never pulled a Skullcap. Not that I use, competitively viable equipment. Stalagmites. That's not horrible. And then, yeah, Miraging Metaphors is still the good one. Being big is still big. Have they dropped a little bit? Was my mind getting warped because obviously swapping between USD and AUD prices? Same people use Charm Millennium Tree with the Runeblade staff that deals 1 arcane damage to make a rune chant damage. Right. Can't you take 2 of them too because they're one-handed? Scepter of Pain. Scepter... I think it's Scepter of Pain. Yeah, there we go. Ha! I'm beginning to remember cards. So yeah, one-handed too. Which, you should be able to take the tome, right? That Runechant has as well, but you can't. So deal 1 arcane damage to any opposing hero and create a Runechant token for each damage dealt this way. Yeah. So that plus amping. I wish they gave Florian a bit more amp. Although I suppose amp is more a wizard thing overall. Yeah, so you get amp 3, and then you ping. And then, if they don't block it, you get 4. And then that goes into all your discount cards. Alright, Pulverize. You have to be a little bit lower as well. I think Pulverize is the really cheap one, though. I think Guardian overall is very cheap. I'm curious if they do try and take Guardian in a new direction. So obviously, Betsy failed. Right? That being a different direction for Guardian. I like the alternative token generation, but Seismic Surge is just so crucial. I mean, I feel like Velda, with the meta, even with, the reduction of draw, it would still be fairly decent as an adult. Opposing Visage, that's not a great card, though. Problem is sustaining this, right? And the cost. Because there are a lot of heavy earth cost cards, but there's easier ways to do things. And even like, I'm not a big fan of the current Decompose package either. But I understand they want to, gate and limit both Veridance's and Florian's ability. But they also gave them a lot of good alternative cards to utilize. You don't necessarily have to go for the hero stuff. Oh. Yay, High Striker. And nada. Nada, and Scolding. I'm glad they've stepped away from the play on your opponent's turn. Another Fire Breathing, and a Genius. Each hero may put a card from their hand on the bottom of the deck. If they do, draw a card and create a silver token. If you You gain no silver this way, draw a card. I mean, that's a fairly viable ability, actually, right? Each other hero may put a card on from their hand. Well, no, because your opponent... I mean, I guess the rationale would be always for your opponent just to make you waste the 2 resources. If that was just a once per turn, pay nothing, then it would be quite viable, right? Again, your opponent has the option not to do it, but if their hand is, bricked in some sense, then it works in their favor, so then you get the extra card to then, most likely block. Well, and instant. So you could use it on your opponent's turn. I wouldn't mind doing that as a series either. Going through a bunch of cards and just rationalizing what they could have been if the effects were slightly different. Because that's another thing in terms of reprint. LSS is very careful not to just upgrade bad cards. They do it in very fringe circumstances, which is good, right? Rather than just... because they have a giant wealth of bad cards, in a sense. That would be quite different if they were just slightly tweaked. Alright. Like your last box of Everfest. What can we find? So, overall, I think we've done very well. A little way. Let's see, what are the big hits? And we can dream about. It was the EA Aether Wildfire, wasn't it? This is the biggest one. No, EA Pulverize is still good too. Listing price, obviously incorrect for the Fable though. Yeah, there's just so many good Majestics. It's like every set just ages Everfest even better. And then everyone as a collective community knows not to crack too much. The set that teeters in terms of EV and everything. Oh, nada. Nope. Ah, Shimmers of Silver. There we go. Cool. Alright. Out of stock too, interestingly. What was the last sold? Yeah, 15. Give it the old 25% boost? No, more than that. It's not quite double. It used to be. 1.5, there we go. For Australian. Virtual Shield. I do miss foil tokens. And I mean, they're doing EAs, right? Anytime they give tokens somewhere else, or cold foils. So they could bring back foil tokens. Oh. Ah, 2. Talisman of Featherfoot. Another interesting effect, right? You gain exactly 1. Exactly 1, destroy this, and the attack gains go again. It's not a choice effect, right? So it never quite worked with Art of War. There's definitely some things you could probably do with it. Nerve of Steel, remove -1 counters from chest equipment you control. Battle Worn on Temper doesn't trigger, and if it defends 2 or less. No, sorry, it doesn't trigger if it defends 2 or less. And then when your heroes dealt damage, destroy Nerves of Steel. So if it wasn't the 2 or less, I think Nerves of Steel would be a good card as well. Yeah, slight tweak. Take it from bottom barrel to highly usable. You can definitely tell cards are designed for what's currently, at the meta. Or even around, what just happened. Swing Big Foil, that's a good pickup. Oh, EA 100 Winds Red, also a good pickup. Bingo, and a Bravo. A special Bravo, though. The swing big. Has there been a rainbow foil? It is coming down, but again, I feel like Brute is going to get another resurgence. I do think Brute is probably the favorite class, right? Not by LSS, but by the community in a lot of sense. It's not that much higher for a rainbow foil. That's the other thing. As cards get more playable, the foiling or the type doesn't really matter. I just turned one on Veridance with a plan for the worst. What trap would you take to shut Veridance down? Well, it depends if they're going for their decompose, right? Because then you have all the attack interactions. Swarming Gloom Veil. That would be good. They immediately can see. Ah, right. So what trap? What traps the... Or what? Two traps, I guess. Are the critical ones. I also haven't had that much time to play. Been so many decks that I want to look into, in a combo sense. So, in an unrealistic sense. To sit down and tweak my Riptide deck. Earthwall Bounty. Again, outshined by L's. At least one more goodie, I think. Blues. Alright, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, that's another rationale for Plan for the Worst that sort of went over my head, right? Just the ability to, you know, swap X color cards to blues is decent as well. Klloo Pounder. Yeah, that's it. Let's see, Klloo Pounder. And then Buzzsaw for the Earth, yeah. It's that type of principle where you relook at a card and its versatility goes way up. Like the Cerebellum Processor, I was just thinking, oh, it's just gas draw, but no, then it's, you know, end your turn with a card for the arsenal, overextend. Yeah, Klloo Pounder's not that high. One of the reasons why I like searching for all the cards and looking at combos. Makes me reread everything. Alright, Lucky Last gets us nothing. Still though, I don't think our pulls were that bad for the case. We got our L. That keeps me happy, even if it is the Ice Shield. They haven't openly said anyway, right, that Ice is never coming back. And they just need ways to counter Frostbite. Yeah, no, I think Zero effects that consume Frostbite will be a decent way. Especially if you eliminate choice. Or cards that consume Frostbite on your opponent. Alright, so what do we get overall? Nice stack of cards for a case though. Feels like the Majestics from Everfest are a bit higher, aren't they? Maybe that's because I'm also including the equipment. Alright, so good M's. Really good M's. Yeah, I think we hit a bunch of first page cards. I think Sphere was also decent, right? I don't see it here. Load, Stalagmite. Swing big. Is Sphere on the first page? No. It's down lower. Oh well. I'll still pull it out. I do like Vex and Quillian too. I think that's better as equipment. Green Razors. Swing big. Definitely the Wildfire. Spring Tidings. Grounds on me. Green Blood, blue, I don't think is that good. No, you definitely want reds. Breaktide, I think is undervalued by the community. Metamorph is definitely good. Reclamation and Aether Vein is banned. Blues Pitch 3. Oh, wait, I'm reading the same thing. Alright. Anything really stand out? Not really, no. I guess the Swing Big Foil would be the top card. Still though, you know, hitting half the M's as good M's is fairly decent. Sizable amount of good luck. We almost got a playset of Swing Big from one case as well. Yeah. I think that was a fairly decent Everfest. Neatly pack it away. Alright, so I think that'll do me. Right, we went over, we cracked some packs, the usual. I do want to get back to playing as well. I need to get up earlier though, so I have a bit more time. And we can crack packs, discuss whatever Alex is up to, and then also play some games with FaB. But unfortunately, no, I don't have time at the moment. Try and start like an hour earlier, and then I have an hour to play games. Either way, thanks for hanging around, Fish. Good to catch up, and yeah, I'll grab a box of Rosetta, and we'll see if we can work out a day to do limited. It'd definitely be good. So now I have to. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure you just go Aurora, right? Just always pick Aurora if you can, or Florian or Viridance if you've pulled mainly Earth cards. No, it's just always put the pedal on Aurora for limited. It feels like from what I've seen. But yeah, that will do me for today. So anyone hanging around or watching posts, thanks as always. Enjoy your games, Fish. Other than that, I'm out. Yeah.